And we are just getting going here. Unfortunately, we had a pretty typical campground experience last night. These guys showed up around midnight, 1 o'clock, and were not very considerate with their high beams, and then set up, left their floodlight shining on our tent. It rained on us pretty good last night for a while, but the advantage of being in the dry part of the country is everything's pretty much bone dry again, even though it's still overcast. Okay, now that Blondie's gone in like full through hiker mode, it's happy birthday time. And also I will share some hard-won wisdom that will make you feel better. And that is, no matter how shitty your day is, you wake up and you appreciate the little things. If you haven't pooped your pants at night, it's a good day. Better than other days. Jen is convinced she has some sort of stomach bug. I've seen enough weird stuff with the whole GI tract when doing hard endurance level stuff that I tend to be a little more practical, is what it is. I do carry Imodium with me. That is my magic pill anytime something's going on and I don't have time to screw around with it. Jen tends to say no and be a little less willing to go that route. Same with the ibuprofen, but she was actually asking for it this morning. Part of the reason I don't mess around and I just take ibuprofen is I've been down at like 75 feet scuba diving, leading a group of clients, thinking I was about to mess myself. So, when the consequences are high, you take precautionary action. And time to get moving. See what today has for us. Yesterday I had a hill, a turtle, and a corgi. So we're going to take that as a sign that things are getting better. And Colorado is getting less easternish by the step. So properties like that have often been the type that I end up with dog problems out of. They seem to be not real well maintained. And I've had entire packs come out at me before. So anytime we're near something like this, I'm kind of gripping my poles and getting ready. And we just had 2 dogs that were after us pretty good a little while back. Looked like a healer mix and some sort of a boxer mix. And that's enough civilization for now. Back to the back roads. It's funny, Jen and I were talking this morning about how the heat wave section of Kansas was very stressful, very miserable with those midday, fly-covered siestas. But it did make the hiking hours go faster because there was more of a sense of urgency. Now we're out here and we can hike from whenever to whenever. And things have been dragging these last couple of days quite a bit more. Granted, stomach issues and etc. don't help that sort of thing. And honestly, like, this terrain is worse than the farmlands. The farmlands, especially with the corn, which pops up and kind of hides you from view and you feel like you're in a man-made forest. I actually really enjoyed that. And you'd come across like farmhouses and things mixed in between. This is harder to take. This is more like southern Florida, where I was on those levees just walking off to the horizon with less heat mirages, at least for the moment. We are currently about 158 miles from Canyon City, where my parents are. We weren't expecting to get that far while Jen is still with me. She will be picked up either the evening of the 13th or the morning of the 14th, depending if we can find a hotel here. So we have, counting today, about 4 more full days of walking together. I'm kind of bummed because she's being a trooper, but she's really struggling with a stomach thing. And this is not the funnest type of hiking. I'd rather be ending on a high mark if we could. But that's okay. It is what it is. We had a lot of fun, memorable adventures and encounters on this one. Unfortunately, once she leaves, there are no holidays that are long enough for her to come and see me, except maybe Thanksgiving. And if everything goes well, I will hopefully be around San Francisco by then, so she could come potentially pick me up, but more likely I'd just take a train back or something like that. And there's a possibility I may run into December, especially if I can make it over the Sierra. I'll hike till whenever. I think we have commitments around Christmas, but until then it's all stuff I can push off. From what I can recall driving this area, this kind of super dull terrain like this basically ends at Pueblo, and at that point you start to get more rocks and pine trees and things as you get the 50 miles out to my parents. So we should be just maybe-ish getting out of that zone as she has to leave. So she can say she fully experienced the Great American Desert Crossing with me. And it has been fun seeing her kind of fully transition into through hiker mode. Not that, I mean, she's done between 800 and 1,300 miles with me every year, you know, on each of the Triple Crown trails, and did all of the Mississippi, but she always had more of a set time limit, so mentally I think she never fully got into the state I was. And now, yeah, she's tired of food, she's ravenous, all the other things that I get into and talk to her, and she was always had a different mindset even later in the season. We are getting some slight signs that things are changing with rock buttresses here and there. Nothing too major, but first sign we're getting out of the plains.
This is one of the options for water out here. We don't need any because we're still full from the campground. And that's probably good because this one doesn't seem to be flowing. Just stagnant trough water. So this bug made me stop and do a double take because it seems to be it looked like it was a butterfly that was crawling like a beetle. You know, up close it doesn't really look like a butterfly at all. That bug is actually called a spider wasp, and they often hunt tarantulas.
Once again, always getting nice folks offering water when we are full up and carrying the better part of a gallon. We haven't had as much issues with flies for the last couple of days, but there's something out here that is just mobbing me, that bites. And sadly, back to US 50 for a bit. Okay, we are having a bit of a bummer Blondie birthday today. She is still not feeling real great. And this area just hasn't been real great. The place we were hoping to stop, it was this inn, had a whole bunch of warnings about it basically turning into a meth house, and it didn't look good walking by. There was somebody home next door. We were just debating if we wanted to go back over there when a bunch of gunshots came from there, and it just felt off. So we were walking. If we went into Los Animas, which is down below us, we would basically have a 20-mile section along Highway 50, which is really, really unpleasant and busy. This is Highway 194, which is a little quieter. So our plan is to go and stop at houses, but we just have not been having the best luck out here. Has us pining for Kansas at the moment. I did offer to Jen that we could just hike into that town, get a hotel, and try again tomorrow, but she's not feeling quite that bad. So she did say not to tempt her. Unfortunately, the days of houses being close up where we can find somebody sitting outside are kind of few and far between here. But Jen's stressing about lack of water, so I think we're gonna take our chances and go say hello here. Okay, nice lady with her grandkids. Just basically filled us up with a whole hell of a lot of bottled water that tastes so much more yummy than what came out of that park. Taters is even smiling a little bit, even though we now have 5 liters on our back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. This is good because she can't do anger squats at me now because it's too much weight. For anybody watching pitch meetings, you'll get that one. We also mentioned the motel that we had been hoping to fill up since there was a note from a previous hiker, and she's like, oh yeah, they were cooking meth in it and it was a whole thing. Probably best you didn't get near there. But we are now full on water. That should get us the 20 or so miles out to La Junta, hopefully. And we just have to find some place to camp along the way, because I don't think Taters is up for doing another 20 miles today. Oh, this is fun. Who needs a shoulder, right? So, okay, it's 6:30, and as you can see, we have one of these isolated storms that looks like it's above Pueblo and headed our way. We're also kind of stuck without a lot of good options. We aren't going to make the next town. That's going to be another 10 miles or so. We do have some state land options, which are usually a little better than private land. You know, you're not trespassing, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's friendly to camping, especially if you run into the local, like, small town sheriffs. See the one a couple of days ago that told us that camping wasn't allowed in the place that it was allowed. They're full on sites, website confirmed it, yada yada. And sadly, Miss Birthday Taters back there is still not having the best day, but we have water, so we just have to find a secure spot now. So we have a couple of options that we've looked at, which may work based on the satellite, and also Street View is really, really useful as far as telling do you have a fence or not. Because, well, technically we could climb over that. It tends to be a little messy. So we don't have anything that's 100%, but we have a series of things to try. And as it gets darker, we don't have to be as careful. Because if we can just get behind some bushes or something and it's late enough and we're leaving early enough, you know, that'll get us through the night. We are both feeling the pressure a little bit, though. In the morning, it always feels like, oh yeah, you know, this was fine. But at night, when you're setting up, worried that a spotlight's going to hit you and you might have to leave at 11:30 at night, it tends to be a little more stressful. You'd think with all the abandoned houses, there'd be some place we could set up, but we haven't had the best luck getting that on this trip. Well, this isn't going well so far. This isn't great, but we got a maybe.
Searching for a camp that is far enough away from the paved road, we won't be having lights and noise all night.
Not quite ideal, but I think we're going to have to kind of put up with this, so we're trying to tuck into the bushes here.
Matt found us a cozy stealth camp tucked in between 2 lines of trees, and our old friends the mosquitoes are back. We have a storm that's going to hit us, or at least pass nearby us, and we also want to try to be as little visible as we can at night. So we're trying to get dinner cooked and in the tent before it gets dark. Home sweet home for the night.